Hi friends, let's take a look at BNB, right? So we're going to look at BNB USDT here on the show, checking it out on Binance itself. Thank you so much for joining me to watch this. By the way, if you do decide to hit like, then I'll decide at that moment that you're my best pal. Here's some intros for you. I like them. I like the music. I like my name. Check it out. Wow, fantastic. Crypto technical analysis. Brilliant. Wow, if you like that, then hit like. But if you just want to see, if you like the idea of me doing live streams, hit the subscribe button and the bell, come back, join me for one of them and all that stuff soon, all that. Right, cool. Right, yeah. So, yeah, BNB USDT. It was requested to take a look at this by somebody in the live chat, just trying to see who it was that asked for that. Not 100% sure who it was that asked for that. So yeah, great. Anyway, right, whatever. Let's take a look. Great movement up the way in terms of the weekly. Well, that's no surprise. That we all knew that anyway, I think, right? Great movement up in terms of the 3-day. That's no surprise. Think we knew that anyway. 2 days, same dealio. You get to the 24-hour time frame and you start to see some little problems emerge, but it's way less visible here on the logarithmic chart than if I were to pop it onto the linear chart. So just a little distinction I want to make for people to see. This is the linear chart, daily time frame. Quite obvious there's been a big pullback. Then I go logarithmic and not so much. So I want people to remember in terms of when you're looking at really strongly trending moves towards the top side, to be taking into account the percentage pullbacks that you're having, not necessarily simply the absolute dollar value that you're having here, because the highs are up at 639, the lows down at 427. Huge stuff, 33%, etc. Put it back onto logarithmic and then cast our minds back the way, and we can remember that over here there was a 45% decline in price. Remember over here there was a 36% decline in price, and that's not unusual. We can see now, especially since it's logarithmic, just how frequently we get these sorts of size moves. So this having happened at the minute, not so bad necessarily, still clearly in a strong upward trend. That's very good. What do we want to see happen? Well, we can learn a lesson or two by looking at this chunk here. You know, we saw the movement up the way, and then the prices dropped down, and it was a big drop. Then we came back up, and we didn't take out key areas. What key areas, for example, Rocky? Well, over here, if we draw in a sort of Fibonacci, we didn't manage to really, satisfactorily take out the 618 as an example over there. Now, we did move past the 236 very much nearly immediately, and then found it as support. And this is not fractal analysis, by the way. I'm not taking something from the past and saying this thing's going to exactly repeat itself, because that would be, well, that's I'll leave that job to all the morons to do. But if we're looking up here between the highs then and the lows, and we see that we are above the 236, we can see that there is a sort of certain rhyming to the way that history goes, and this is just talking about flows in markets and market structure, etc. So we're doing very well to be above the 480 area. In fact, any retraces that we see that come down towards 480 are totally acceptable. It's really when you see closes and opens, especially on the big time frames. Let's jump down to the 4-hour time frame so that at least we can sort of digest what I'm saying a bit easier. So when you see opens and closes again and again below that area, that you need to get worried. Let me just draw in again so you can see now that we're on the 4-hour time frame. There's the high, there's the low, came down, pushed back up nearly immediately, and we never really had a succession of openings and closes below this. We had one red candle that took us down below, then the green candle took us right back up to it, etc. And that's what we're seeing. So we need to, if you wanted to get bearish on it, you need to see movement down here, 4-hour time frames, opens and closes below 480 for you to start to sort of get into that mode, okay, to continue on. And what you'd be saying at that stage is, of course, you've got a high somewhere in here, you've got some sort of low, I guess, and maybe another higher high. It's a bit generous, but there you go. Then another lower low and another lower high, and you'd be looking down and saying, will we come in for a lower low thereafter? Bringing up the oscillators so we can see that these lows overall, in the big scheme of thing, where there's really only this low, where I chuckled a second ago because that's not really much of a trend, but anyway, there's this low, would have that potential for a hidden bullish divergence. Wow, very, very tasty if we start to take out the structure of these fake sort of semi lower highs, right? And that would see us getting into a nice turnaround here. It would be nice if we could turn around and keep the strength of the trend. If we need to go through a period of chop, that's okay. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, for example, in the last big sort of up down that we saw the cross on the DMI take us into a period of chop over here, negative cross, positive cross, negative cross, positive cross, chop, 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 all in here, all that choppiness, and then eventually it resolved itself towards the top side. Now, we could see something similar like that happen again, you know, where you get into chop territory. I would prefer not to. I think we all would, really. Stochastics crossing over and going towards the downside, but then, you know, wanting, will we see a tick over the way? If we do, then that's good, and I think that would happen in around about movements past 530, I'll just say, is to be trying $550, right? So, you know, this means that when you're talking about something that's moved so parabolically, and that's the characterizes the trend you're in, you find yourself having to say things like, you know, I'm not even going to be happy about this until it's moved 10%. It's tough, that is, right? Oh, there goes the camera. That's obviously time for me to tune out. I've run out of battery, so I'll just hide myself, and I can take advantage of the camera dying, I suppose, to make the charts bigger on the screen for everybody, and that's interesting, I guess. So yeah, so what am I looking for on this one? Well, we're above the 236. I want to see this continue on the way. How does this thing line up with regards to the Ichimoku cloud and where we've come from so far? And you can see then that the resistance of the cloud is right on there at that level. So you can see that it's that 550, while I was kind of like and struggling with like really saying it before and talking about the 10%. That indeed, you know, yet again, this is just a 4-hour time frame as well. That the 550, I mean, how many times do you need to have that underlined? Now, if we take out 550, can we go out and look for a move towards our previous highs again? Then absolutely, I think that they would get retested at that point, and that's of course in and of itself a good move, because you're talking 550 up towards 650-ish or whatever, so you're talking about a seriously decent percentage move. But here we are at the lower end of the cloud, and this is what kind of describes the situation. So the person who asked me to take a look at it was underwater on their trade, and that's understandable, you know, because things started to look pretty crap from 550 down the way when we got this negative cross, and things just sank on down into the cloud, tried to come back up, resisted by it, on down the way again, and on down all as low as 428. What am I looking at then with this one? Well, like I say, I mean, I've said it 7 or 8 times already, but I suppose I need to be clearer. If we can maintain prices above 480, I'm still looking up towards 640 as a target overall. But saying that bypasses me saying that crucially 550 is very, very important, and I expect to see in inverted commas, because I don't like saying prediction or expect, because nobody can predict the future, but I expect to see some sort of resistance or whatever in around about that zone. And then if we pull back again, where I want to see the prices not go any lower than is 531, where we have this next area. And why would that be the case? And let me just show you in a purely speculative way, but this is how things go. Is that you would have the prices coming up towards 550, pop this in here, so that would be where that would be at. Then your 236 would then come in at 532, and that's no surprise to me. I've done this for years and years and years and years, that's where that would be at. So that means that in terms of, like, if you want to sort of have a pre-constructed Elliott wave for you, then this would be it here, and that's what I want to see happen with BNB overall. Now, if it doesn't need to come back down again, fine, that's great. If it wants to fly on up the way, fine, that's great too. But really, it needs to actually sustain prices above that 530 area. If it comes back down again, then we could languish in around about these zones and even ultimately retest 480 again, which would suck, right? Suck balls, okay? We're at 500 at the minute, big inflection point for us. As we can see here, we've tried getting past it over the period of the last day, came up, found resistance at a lower high, but we don't have, you know, things to confirm the downward trend in terms of look, I'm not willing to call these highs. I'm not really willing to. I'm not willing to call these lows. That's bullshit. This is the high. This is the high. There's this one low. High, low, high. That's all we've got. Oh God, gonna have to clean this up a wee bit. That's all you got there. and that actually then if you accept that this is a high and this is a low and this is a lower high, then I want to make it very, very clear then that this is higher than here and that is not hidden bearish divergence as yet. Now, I'll happily eat my words on all of this in the future should that be required, but it looks to me as though this has got extreme volatility but functions more or less in the form of a bull flag right now, and that's what I'm waiting to see resolution on. Okie dokie. We could even see things happen in the meantime. If we see a lack of wicks higher, but bodies not closing up above our previous wicks, and then retracements back down the way, we could see this thing form like a sort of diamond or some crap like that in the meantime. Obviously, that's not super exciting. We don't want to see that. It's not super exciting. We don't want to see that. What are you talking about, Rocky? But you can see here at the 597 area that in terms of if we were to be looking down the way for a trend and we had a target of 322 trending down the way, if that's what you're doing, the fact that we're above 500 is really, really, really important. Now, people would look at this and say it's halfway towards $1,000. It's a round number. It's super important. It's super important for all those reasons. I actually don't really give too much of a shit about all of that, but I will say that we're above the 236 just here, and that we're above the 480 236, but we're above that 236 from the trend lows to the high in terms of if you were looking down the way. So we've invalidated that with this price movement just here, just now, and I'm wanting to see if this can push up the way. And therefore, when I look down towards the 1 hour time frame and I see that we've just managed to poke our heads above the cloud and that we've not got a negative cross here, but we're coming in to give us the chance to actually get the positive cross above the cloud, it means everything's starting to line up perfectly for this to get another movement towards the top side. Starting to, close to, depends how you want to manage your risk. That'll do on that front, I think. Oh, if you hit thanks or if you hit like, then I appreciate it.